Now on KOAM News at 5, an area healthcare facility is asking residents to help stop the spread of COVID as they run out of patient beds.
The FDA has fully authorized use of Pfizer's COVID vaccine. I'm Famie Redwood with what that could mean for unvaccinated people.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Pfizer's COVID vaccine is now fully approved by the FDA for use in people ages 16 and older. This is KOAM News at 5, broadcasting on Fox 14 today because of golf coverage on CBS. Now that the vaccine has the same level of regulation as other vaccines, more companies, universities, and local governments are expected to make getting the vaccine mandatory. Reporter Famie Redwood has the latest.
Pfizer's COVID-19 vaccine is the first to be fully approved by federal regulators. FDA officials hope the approval lifts public confidence in the vaccine among the unvaccinated.
The FDA approval is the gold standard.
President Biden has a message for Americans who vowed to wait for full approval before getting inoculated.
The moment you've been waiting for is here. It's time for you to go get your vaccination and get it today.
Following approval, the Pentagon announced it will require members of the military to get the vaccine, and New York City's public school teachers and staffers must do so as well. Nationwide, just over half the U.S. population has gotten fully vaccinated while the vaccines were under emergency use authorizations. But vaccination rates are going up again as unvaccinated patients infected with the Delta variant fills hospitals across the country. In Louisiana, the number of COVID deaths in that state jumped more than 300% since June. At Our Lady of Lourdes Regional Medical Center in Lafayette, every one of the 24 patients in the main ICU are COVID positive, including 24-year-old Kaylee Rowe, who was unvaccinated and pregnant. Doctors delivered her baby, but Rowe remains on a ventilator.
We booked a family vacation. We thought, like the rest of the world, this isn't that real of a virus.
And as more children head back into the classroom, a CBS News poll finds while the majority of parents support a mask requirement, they are split over vaccine requirements. It found 48% of parents think schools should require a vaccine, while 52% believe schools should not. Famie Redwood, CBS News, New York.
Moderna has also applied to the FDA for full approval of its vaccine. Johnson & Johnson says it hopes to do so later this year. Local health providers hope the FDA's approval will help more residents take the step to get the shot. At Prater's Pharmacy in Webb City, they haven't seen or heard from many who want to get the shot after the approval, but they aren't very surprised by that since the approval just went through today. At Stone's Corner Pharmacy, they're doing walk-in vaccinations, and they've already seen at least a few people who've changed their minds.
We've had some people in that have come in because of the FDA approval, and so clearly for some it's definitely going to make a difference. This is at least a step in a direction to get us to a place where people feel comfortable getting vaccinated.
To find a provider that offers the Pfizer vaccine, you can visit the vaccine page on our website. That's KOAMnewsnow.com. And that brings us to today's KOAM News Now Insta Poll. Today's question: do you think full FDA authorization of the Pfizer vaccine will decrease vaccine hesitancy? You can participate at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote or through the KOAM News Now mobile app. Results are updated live, and we're going to check in on them a little bit later. Ascension Via Christi released a statement signed by many Southeast Kansas hospitals addressing a lack of available hospital space. The letter asks people in the area to take certain precautions, such as masking in public, getting tested for COVID, and most importantly, getting vaccinated.
Healthcare in general are really busy. COVID is continuing to grow, and we're seeing more of a peak. And so we wanted to pull together and just encourage everyone to do the main thing that could help right now, which is get vaccinated. It is our best line of defense as far as what we can do to prevent and stop the disease.
Right now in Southeast Kansas hospitals, 22% of patients are being treated for COVID-19. Ned Kelly, it is dangerously hot out there.
Yeah, we saw temperatures easily push back into the mid-90s today. Dallas, a few spots even pushing upper 90s, and it doesn't help that the humidity is also out there as well. So while it looks nice from 7th and Range Line, this is our main weather headline. the entire region under heat advisories until 7 o'clock Thursday evening. Unfortunately, all this heat and humidity has not resulted in any thunderstorms, but for those of you that had any outdoor plans, you were okay given how dry today has been so far. But all the thunderstorms in the region overall, primarily along the Mississippi from St. Louis down south to almost Cape Girardeau and the Boot Heel. Everyone, though, is in the mid-90s right now, but you factor in the humidity, it makes it feel like anywhere from 98 to about 105 in many locations. And it's going to be a very slow drop-off in temperatures, at least to get us a break from the heat. 87 by 8, 81 by midnight. I'm thinking mid-70s tonight, Dow. We'll see how long this heat will really stick around here in a bit.
All right, we'll catch you then. President Biden met with his national security team at the White House today to discuss the security challenges facing U.S. forces in Afghanistan. The U.S. and its allies evacuated more than 16,000 refugees in the last 24 hours, though thousands of Americans do remain trapped in Kabul. President Biden says he may need to extend next week's withdrawal deadline in order to make sure everyone is evacuated, but the Taliban says it will not agree to any extension. The House interrupted its August recess and returned to Washington this week to tackle infrastructure. This morning, the House Rules Committee took up the $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill and the $3.5 trillion budget reconciliation resolution. House leaders are hoping for final floor votes tomorrow. Still ahead, protecting your home from a natural disaster.
Wildfires and hurricanes are common this time of year, but there are ways to protect homes. I'm Bradley Blackburn with how structural and even landscaping changes can help prevent disaster.
And next in Health Watch, a new CBS poll shows how parents feel about sending their kids to school this year. Topping today's Health Watch, a new CBS News poll finds 69% of parents are concerned their children will get COVID in school, as the debate over mask mandates and other precautions is intensifying. Nationwide, cases are skyrocketing among kids 12 to 17, up almost 1,400% since June. Reporter Meg Oliver visited a New York City school with Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona to learn about his plans for a safe school year.
It's going to help everyone mentally.
Jeremy Augusto and Nana Akwanin want to go back to school.
When I was in school, I felt safe. I felt like I was actually learning something.
Both are vaccinated and play on the football team at Harry Truman High School in the Bronx. Secretary of Education Miguel Cardona recently visited their school to talk with student athletes about a safe return to the classroom and the field.
We need our student leaders to say, don't be the reason you cancel my season.
We know that for their, not only their academic needs, but their social and emotional well-being, they belong in the classroom.
Is it safe to open full-time with the Delta variant?
I wouldn't ask anyone to do something that I wouldn't do for my own children. My children are going back to school. I'm fortunate that my children are of the age where they can get vaccinated. And I know some parents will say, well, my children don't have the vaccine. But the reality is, if we follow the mitigation strategies, we can keep our children safe.
According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, in just 3 weeks, the number of COVID cases in children nearly tripled, though hospitalization rates remain low at only 2%, and deaths are rare, with less than 0.03% of cases involving kids. A little over 54% of 16 to 17-year-olds have received one dose of the vaccine, and among 12 to 15-year-olds, that number is 45%, the lowest vaccination rate for any age group. The football team at Harry Truman all plan to be fully vaccinated when school reopens in September.
One main reason I got my vaccine was to be like a role model for my other teammates, because I know some of them are like hesitant.
Part of the safe return to school comes with a recommendation from the CDC that all students and staff wear masks. And just last week, President Biden ordered Secretary Cardona to take action, including possible legal action against governors who ban masking in public schools.
We need to follow the mitigation strategies that we know work. Get the politics out of this. I know my own children, they don't want to wear masks. I have mask fatigue myself, but if it means giving my children an opportunity to be in school, I'm for it.
For any state planning to defy mask requirements, Cardona says the Biden administration is prepared to investigate through the Office for Civil Rights. 8 states have banned them altogether. Meg Oliver, CBS News, New York.
While the U.S. Secretary of Education does not have the authority to mandate vaccines for teachers, Cardona says he would support it. He adds that 90% of educators across the country have been vaccinated. Research out of Australia shows some patients with atrial fibrillation were able to keep their heart rhythm in check with exercise. Researchers suggest adding aerobic exercise into treatment plans for AFib patients, building up to 3.5 hours a week. A nationwide study shows cardiac arrest linked to opioid use is up sharply. The increase was observed from 2012 to 2018 and is now on par with the rate of cardiac arrests from other causes. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, more than 1,000 Nabisco workers have been on strike for 3 weeks, demanding better working conditions.
But first, we are in the middle of a hot and humid stretch of weather. We'll see if any relief is in the forecast when we come back.
Tuesday.
Unfortunately, we did have to go back into the heat and humidity as this new work week got underway. But if you look back at the month of August at the whole, any days where we were above 90 degrees have really been kind of an anomaly. You can see all this blue on the calendar showing 14 days this month so far that we have been seeing temperatures below normal. But over the weekend, we went from 92 on Friday, 87 on Saturday, and mid-90s yesterday, including today, with so far today's high of 95. And at the very least, we're always trying to get some breaks in the heat during the morning hours. We did hit lower 70s on Sunday morning, but after we dropped back only to about the mid to upper 70s this morning, it was an easy climb back up into the mid 90s this afternoon. On the plus side, though, even though it didn't feel quite good to be out and about, and we didn't have any rain or thunderstorms for any outdoor plans, that being said, this is our main weather headline still, taking us through Thursday evening. All of these heat advisories across the entire region because the heat and definitely some of the humidity is going to be sticking around to take us through the middle part of this week. 7th and range line certainly looks beautiful, but again, maybe if you're not a fan of heat and humidity, this doesn't feel so good. 95 in Joplin, a southwest wind to 10, trying to keep things a little bit cooler than usual, but as long as those dew points are up there, it feels like 99 degrees in Joplin. Most of us are in the mid 90s along and east of 69, but we do have a couple upper 90s on the board, especially once we hit areas like Chanute, Independence, and Fredonia. Not to mention when you throw in temperature dew points in temperature form, upper 60s to lower 70s. Those aren't too terribly high, but when temperatures are this hot, it doesn't take much to make it feel like the triple digits. A couple of areas anywhere from about 100 to 105 still on this early Monday evening. Eventually, though, we'll drop back to 88 by 8 o'clock, 81 by midnight, and I think we'll at least go back into the mid 70s this time for our Tuesday morning. Widening the view out, any thunderstorms close to us today were mainly along the Mississippi River from St. Louis almost down to about Perryville and Cape Girardeau. But any good chances for rain and storms are going to stay well north of us because of our frontal boundary. This is going to try and make a return by early next week, but we got a long ways to go before it gets there. So in the meantime, this upper level ridge is firmly in control, certainly as we go through the middle of this week. At the very least, we'll go from a hot and humid evening to a bit of a break in the heat as we go through the overnight, thanks to mostly clear skies and a light south breeze. But still, we'll only drop back to 75 in the morning with the south breeze at 5 to 10. Then another easy and quick warm-up, already up to 92 by noon tomorrow and pushing highs across the region, near 97 with the south breeze at 5 to 15. You throw in the humidity that will be in play once again. It's going to feel anywhere from about 100 to 106. And these are numbers that will repeat themselves for Wednesday too, as long as our ridge, even the center of this ridge, stays right on top of the region. And you could even argue for Thursday, but the ridge starts to weaken a little bit. So hopefully by Thursday or Friday, the heat and humidity could result in a couple of isolated thunderstorms. But rolling in the 7-day forecast, hopefully by Sunday and early next Monday, we can get our next front in here to knock highs back into the upper 80s and some better chances for rain. In the meantime, Dow, highs near 96 and 97 tomorrow through Thursday, along with the heat. That's why those alert days will remain in place.
It means you have to be careful if you're going to be out, for sure. Thanks, Nick. Rescue crews are searching for about a dozen people still missing in Tennessee after catastrophic flooding west of Nashville. At least 22 people were killed when record-breaking rainfall washed away homes and roads over the weekend. Up to 17 inches of rain fell in less than 24 hours, which set a new one-day record for rainfall in Tennessee. Coming up, how some homeowners are making their houses disaster-proof. First, though, we honor a local World War II veteran. Lon Helm Jr. served in the U.S. Army Air Corps from 1940 to 43. The Army Kansas native was stationed on Ascension Island in the Atlantic Ocean. And we salute Staff Sergeant Lon Helm Jr., a four-state hero.
Thank you.
Topping Consumer Watch today, more than 1,000 Nabisco workers in 4 states are entering their 3rd week on the picket line. Comes after contract negotiations broke down with its parent company, Mondelez International, following proposed changes for workers, including increased shift length without overtime. Mondelez says its goal is to continue to provide employees with good wages and competitive benefits. Hurricane season is here, and at the same time, wildfires continue to range in the western half of the country. But there are ways to protect homes before disaster strikes. Reporter Bradley Blackburn explains.
Hurricane-force winds can rip a home apart. Researchers at the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety set up a massive lab to run this test. Last year's Atlantic hurricane season saw a record 30 named storms, including Hurricane Sally, which led to $60 billion in damage. But Matt Fettner's Orange Beach, Alabama home was mostly unscathed.
Standing in my front yard, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 new roofs in the cul-de-sac we live in. Ours was the only roof that made it through that storm.
His roof is fortified. The shingles are secured with special nails, and underneath there's an extra water barrier. The IBHS says its fortified roof standard, seen here on the right, is now on some 14,000 homes nationwide.
It's as if Mother Nature, through climate change, has busted through the front door of American families.
IBHS President and CEO Roy Wright says homeowners threatened by wildfires can also take action. This demonstration shows embers hitting 2 homes. The right side has a 5-foot gravel bed. The other, with wood mulch, ignites, spreading flames to the wood shingle siding. In Northern California's Marin County, inspectors go door to door looking for hazards like this juniper plant next to the house.
Juniper in general is just flammable. It goes up like a torch.
IBHS found clearing vegetation can double a home's chance of surviving a fire. How should homeowners landscape around their houses?
For 5 feet all the way around, it should be non-combustible.
Simple steps that can save a home from disaster. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News, New York.
Federal government says there were 22 weather and climate-related disasters last year that caused at least $1 billion in damage. More problems for General Motors. The automaker is recalling all Chevrolet Bolt electric cars over concerns the batteries could catch fire. Just last month, GM warned owners of 2017 through 2019 models of the cars, advising them to park outside and not to charge the cars. This latest recall is expected to cost GM an estimated $1 billion. Final check of the forecast next. The CBS Evening News is next. Then on KOAM News at 6, law enforcement in Miami arrest a suspect accused of stabbing and killing a man this morning. Plus, Cox Health, including the hospital in Barton County, is mandating employees get the vaccine. And the city of Joplin is outpacing the rest of Missouri when it comes to vaccination rates. Stay with us for the CBS Evening News and then KOAM News at 6. Let's take another look at our KOAM News Now Insta Poll. We asked, do you think full FDA authorization of the Pfizer vaccine will decrease vaccine hesitancy? At this point, as you see, 47% say yes, no, 53%. The numbers are changing constantly. We're going to have the final results on the poll on KOAM News at 9 on Fox 14. Right now it is dangerously hot out there, Nick Kelly.
Yeah, we'll only get maybe a little reprieve later on tonight, Dal, but only with lows going back to 75. We're right back to 97 on Tuesday. 96s for Wednesday and Thursday, as long as the humidity stays in play as well. The heat advisories will remain, and so will our alert days for the next 3 days.
Thanks, Nick, and thank you for joining us. We will be back here for KOAM News at 6 on Channel 7, we presume, assuming golf coverage is over. We'll see you then. Let's make it a great evening.